Noam Chomsky, a renowned linguist, philosopher, and political activist, has consistently advocated for social justice and global peace. His voice has been a guiding light for many who seek to understand the complexities of our world and the urgent need for change. Over the decades, Chomsky has dissected the intricate web of political, social, and economic factors that shape our global landscape, urging us to look beyond our borders and recognize our shared humanity. In his seminal work, Internationalism or Extinction, Chomsky presents a stark warning. Humanity faces an existential crisis that demands immediate attention and collective action. This work is not just a call to arms but a detailed analysis of the threats we face, from environmental degradation to nuclear proliferation. Chomsky meticulously outlines how these issues are interconnected and how they transcend national boundaries, making it clear that no single nation can tackle these challenges alone. This essay delves into Chomsky's compelling arguments, exploring his insights on internationalism, environmental degradation, and geopolitical turmoil. He emphasizes the importance of understanding the root causes of these issues, which often lie in systemic inequalities and the pursuit of profit over people. Chomsky's work encourages us to question the status quo and to seek out solutions that prioritize the well-being of all inhabitants of our planet. Chomsky's central thesis revolves around the urgent need for international cooperation to address the multifaceted challenges confronting humanity. He argues that, in an increasingly interconnected world, the actions of one nation can have far-reaching impacts on others. Therefore, it is imperative that we adopt a collaborative approach, working together to create sustainable solutions that benefit everyone. He argues that the interconnected nature of global issues necessitates a paradigm shift from narrow self-interest to a broader sense of shared responsibility. This shift requires a fundamental change in how we view our place in the world, moving away from a mindset of competition and towards one of cooperation. Chomsky believes that by fostering a sense of global solidarity, we can address the root causes of many of the crises we face today. Failure to embrace internationalism, Chomsky warns, could lead to catastrophic consequences, potentially culminating in our own extinction. He paints a vivid picture of a world ravaged by climate change, conflict, and social unrest, urging us to take immediate action to prevent such a future. Chomsky's message is clear: the time to act is now, and the path forward lies in our ability to come together as a global community, united in our efforts to create a more just and sustainable world. Internationalism or Extinction presents a sobering analysis of the threats facing humanity. Noam Chomsky, a renowned linguist and political activist, delves deep into the pressing issues that our world faces today. His arguments are not just theoretical musings but are grounded in decades of research and observation. Chomsky argues that the pursuit of narrow national interests, often driven by economic and political elites, has created a system that prioritizes short-term gains over long-term sustainability. This system, he suggests, is inherently flawed as it overlooks the broader implications of its actions on the global stage. The decisions made in corporate boardrooms and political offices often have far-reaching consequences that are not immediately apparent. This myopic approach, he contends, has exacerbated global inequality, fueled conflict, and accelerated environmental degradation. The disparity between the rich and the poor has widened, leading to social unrest and protests in various parts of the world. Environmental destruction such as deforestation and pollution continues unabated, threatening the very fabric of our planet's ecosystems. Chomsky identifies several key threats that demand immediate attention, including the proliferation of nuclear weapons, the escalating climate crisis, and the potential for catastrophic events. The melting of glaciers, rising sea levels, and extreme weather events like floods and wildfires are stark reminders of the urgent need for action, and the erosion of democratic institutions. The weakening of democratic norms and institutions poses a significant threat to global stability. When democratic processes are undermined, it leads to a loss of public trust and can pave the way for authoritarian regimes. He argues that these interconnected challenges cannot be addressed in isolation. The complexity of these issues requires a multifaceted approach, where nations come together to find common solutions. International cooperation and collaboration are essential in tackling these global problems. Instead, they require a fundamental shift in our understanding of global interconnectedness and a commitment to collective action. Chomsky emphasizes the importance of recognizing our shared humanity and the interconnected nature of our world. By fostering a sense of global solidarity and working together, we can address these challenges and create a more sustainable and equitable future for all. Chomsky posits internationalism as the only viable path to avert global disaster. He defines internationalism as a commitment to cooperation, solidarity, and mutual respect among all nations. This approach, he argues, recognizes the shared fate of humanity and prioritizes the well-being of all people over the narrow interests of individual states. Chomsky highlights the importance of international institutions, such as the United Nations, in fostering dialogue, mediating disputes, and coordinating global responses to shared challenges. He argues that strengthening these institutions and empowering them to enforce international law is crucial for creating a more just and sustainable world order. Chomsky's analysis extends to the environmental and geopolitical crises that plague the planet. He delves deeply into the interconnectedness of these issues, emphasizing how the actions of powerful nations and corporations have far-reaching consequences. The environmental crisis, he notes, is not an isolated phenomenon but is intricately linked to economic policies and political decisions. He argues that the relentless pursuit of economic growth, often at the expense of environmental protection, has pushed the planet to the brink of ecological collapse. Climate change, deforestation, and biodiversity loss are not just environmental issues, but are deeply tied to the economic systems that prioritize profit over sustainability. The industrial activities that drive economic growth are also the primary contributors to environmental degradation. The emissions from factories, the clearing of forests for agriculture, and the overexploitation of natural resources are all part of a larger system that values short-term gains over long-term health. And biodiversity loss, he warns, pose existential threats that demand urgent action. The loss of species and habitats not only diminishes the planet's natural beauty, but also disrupts ecosystems that humans rely on for survival. Wildfires, intensified by climate change, destroy vast areas of forest, releasing even more carbon into the atmosphere and creating a vicious cycle of destruction. Coral bleaching, a result of rising ocean temperatures, threatens marine life and the livelihoods of communities that depend on fishing and tourism. On the geopolitical front, Chomsky critiques the militarism and interventionism of powerful states, highlighting how these actions often lead to prolonged conflicts and instability. The use of military force as a tool of foreign policy, he argues, not only causes immediate destruction but also sows the seeds of future conflicts. The presence of foreign troops in conflict zones can exacerbate tensions and create a cycle of violence that is difficult to break. The resources spent on military interventions could be better used to address the root causes of conflict, such as poverty, inequality, and lack of access to education and healthcare. Arguing that they often exacerbate conflicts and undermine global security. The displacement of people due to war and conflict leads to refugee crises, putting additional strain on neighboring countries and creating humanitarian emergencies. Peaceful protests and diplomatic efforts are often overshadowed by the noise of war, making it difficult for voices advocating for non-violent solutions to be heard. The international community, Chomsky suggests, needs to prioritize peace-building and conflict prevention over military solutions. He calls for a demilitarization of international relations, advocating for diplomacy, conflict resolution, and respect for international law as the primary means of resolving disputes. Diplomacy, he believes, should be the first line of defense against conflict, with international law providing a framework for fair and just resolutions. Peace negotiations and international conferences are platforms where differences can be addressed through dialogue rather than force. The role of international organizations, such as the United Nations, is crucial in facilitating these discussions and ensuring that all parties have a voice, and respect for international law as the primary means of resolving disputes. By adhering to international agreements and legal frameworks, nations can work together to address global challenges in a cooperative and peaceful manner. The signing of treaties and agreements signifies a commitment to collective action and mutual respect. The international law courts serve as a venue for resolving disputes without resorting to violence, ensuring that justice is served and that the rights of all parties are upheld. Chomsky's vision is one where diplomacy and cooperation replace conflict and competition, leading to a more stable and just world.